You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's motivational session of the African Father in America podcast. This is the daily African Proverbs, and today we are going to learn. Wise African proverbs. We are going to learn wise sayings and proverbs, and we are going to have a conversation with an amazing guest, the incredible Marla Campbell Harris. And my hope is that our conversation will help you so that you never doubt yourself. And also our conversation is so that we can honor our ancestors, especially because today is the last day of Black History Month. We just want to honor everybody that struggled for us to be here, especially those of us who are in America. And so I want to invite you to help me welcome the amazing Marla. Without Marla and a few clique of people in our global village, the daily African Proverbs would have never been possible. So today really is full circle for me. And for those who are meeting Marla for the very, very first time, Marla is, a digital doula. Marla is also a producer. And she's also just a beautiful and collaborative human being. If you're doing something good and Marla knows about it, she's going to support it. So that's the kind of person that we are here with today. And I just want to invite you to say hello to everyone before we begin our conversation.
Good morning, everyone. I don't take issue with anything that Simon said, but I will say, to his point, if you are doing something good, that is just something I'm passionate about, amplifying, amazing people, places, and things, right? Which means that Simon had to be doing something amazing before I even knew about Africa Day, African Father in America podcast. So just always wanting to give credit and flowers where they were due, that there were so many people who were instrumental in this space that allowed it to even get on my radar to then come and help to amplify it. So I'm glad to kind of be in the second or third leg of the race, but those important people that got it going and did so many amazing things on this platform, I just want to give them their proper credit and proper due.
Thank you so much, Mal. I love that. I love your humility, really. And I actually haven't been doing the daily African Proverbs for about 1 week or so. And the primary reason is because I have a book that is out on March 7th. It's called Rooted in Love. And if you want to grab a copy of it, you can go to the link tree on my Instagram or Twitter account, and you'll be able to get it even before March 7th. That is when we are supposed to really launch the book. It's just exciting that is even possible. I grew up in Manyata slum in Kenya, and I never imagined that one day I would be talking of a book that is being published with my name as the author on it. So today, as I was saying earlier, we are going to talk about wise African proverbs. We are going to talk about wise sayings, and we are going to have a conversation that is going to help you so that you never doubt yourself, especially as a person of African descent, no matter where you are. So today we are going to Sudan. Our proverb is from Sudan, and it says, if a dog bites you and you don't bite it back, it will say you have no teeth. Marla, what do you think when you read this proverb, or when I sent you this proverb last night? What came to your mind?
So many things. So it made me think again. I always state when I'm in the room that, we come to everything as we are. So in that, do I care if I'm not a dog, or if I don't value a dog's perspective, what they feel about me? Because sometimes we are instigated into wars, into arguments, into situations that are not innately our own, that someone is on a particular frequency and they're trying to pull us into that low vibration. So like when I initially read it, I thought about like, if a dog bites me and I don't bite back, it will say I have no teeth. But if I don't value what the dog has to say, that's not my primary concern. And so it made me think about the correlation between reactions versus responses, that sometimes that we are pulled into situations and we are, in the process, trying to be blocked from that moment of taking a breath, taking perspective, getting a greater kind of temperature read, not just on this bird's eye view, but on the total big picture. And so the ways in which that could hinder us. But then the idea that just because you have teeth, you don't have to use them, but make sure you count the costs and the consequences of doing so, right? Because, they say if two people are in an argument, it's hard to know who's the fool, if two fools are in the argument, right? And so those kind of things were initially what I thought about. But the idea then, if I place this just in it, the idea that we are equipped any numbers of tools to respond to a situation, and it is our own, priority, provocative, however, inclination to determine how we want to respond, and to not take that lightly, to take that, with great critical thought and understanding, counting the cost before you allow a dog to bring you into a fight that you don't want, or vice versa. But also, don't push me. Because if need to, I can and will bite back. So those were kind of the things that were going around in my head. But what I love about this room is that I always come away with a greater understanding. And what I realize is we come into this room from the entry point of understanding. This is not a place that we come, it's not like a debate space, right? It's a place of sharing experience, and such a beautiful, deep community has come out of this space. And it absolutely is one of my favorite ways to start my day. So just wanted to share that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Mala. And I just want to thank everybody who is joining us on YouTube. Your presence means so much to me. And if you're joining us for the first time, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and also leave your comment. Let us know that out of what we are talking about, what other wise African proverbs come to your mind. Share in the comments, because through your ideas we are able to grow this space. And also share with us, what is it that we are saying that is helping you to never doubt yourself, because that's the theme of our conversation today. And if you are on Clubhouse, thank you again for being here with us. Clubhouse is the foundation of the Daily African Proverbs. This is where this whole journey began in January 2021. And so I want to just invite you to ping in 3 to 5 people if you're on Clubhouse, so that we can, grow the number of people who are going to be here with us for the next 40 minutes. This is a 1-hour session, and this session is also open to everyone. Even though we are deeply African and African oriented, we love to share our culture with other people, because that's how we also motivate and educate other people. So feel free to ping in people who are also not of African descent. But now we want to go deeper into the story of my wonderful guest, Mala Campbell Harris. Mala, for me, I know that I'll be meeting you hopefully before the end of this year, because I'll be doing a book tour, and Philly, where you and Chioma are, is one of the places that in my heart I feel like I need to stop over. But you've always shown me so much kindness and love in ways that you only do to people that and all the retweets and the support, I can't just ignore it. I have to really give you a shout out today. But I want you to take us back to your story, because this kind of attitude towards life, this kind of collaborative ways of living with people did not just start yesterday, did not just start a few months ago when we connected on Clubhouse. I'm sure it started a long time ago. And I love sharing with my guests that, for me, what motivates me is a story about a situation that happened when I was 8 years old, when my mother gave me a bicycle to distribute milk and bread in our neighborhood. And since then, whenever I think about that, I feel like it's easy to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning and host this daily African Proverbs consistently, unless I have a major thing going on like the book currently. And so I want you to take us back to a moment in time, when you are between 8 to 16 years old, and share with us something that happened that keeps you grounded, that keeps you motivated, that you'd like to share with us, that keeps you inspired as a leader.
8 to 16, my life was pretty much the same. And I think about how this beautiful family here in Philadelphia that was filled with love, but not necessarily immense financial resources, provided me such a rich and colorful life. And there were a couple of things that my mother gave me, and one being dance, very, education forward, but just the exposure to the arts that every Saturday was spent. You like school Monday through Friday, dance school all day Saturday, Sunday school, church, and the after services, usher sermons, all those things on Sunday. And so I've had this like structured life from a very young age. And so with both spirituality and dance came immense villages that enhance the primary village of my, actual birth family that is a matrilineal. And so to see these like fierce women who were very diverse, very different from my biological aunt, my mother, and then my mother had this like host. It's almost like an army of friends, right? So everybody was aunt so-and-so or something, so just wanting, always kind of like doing something, there's a rites of passage program, there's a performance, there's something, and then these people coming to support you. And so this idea of being a part of things that were either like solo in nature or collaborative in terms of like dancing in a chorus or being a part of a group in church and having these performances that your village shows up for you for. But wanting to do them proud, so this idea of, everything that I do is tied to other people. So I didn't grow up with biological brothers and sisters, but immensely, there were so many people. My life was so full and so rich. And so for me, those three major buckets of family, of dance and the dance community, and just the arts in general, and then the bucket of like spirituality, church, and what Black church is here in the States, and specifically here, in Philadelphia, that I went to a church that was very like both religious but like socio-political in nature. And so the idea of voting and that, I can hear Reverend Gray saying, you have to pay your civic rent. So this idea of like responsibility, civic engagement, but also like being directly connected to the community that you come from are things that both motivated, inspired, encouraged me, but also felt like a responsibility. And I realize now in hindsight that I've tried to recreate that in other aspects of my life. So, when I go away to college, communities and the communities that I'm able to build, when I go into employment in my career path, so I just believe that, we come into the world completely dependent to learn independence, but interdependence is how we're built. Like we're built to be relational and to connect. And I just didn't realize how both through directly and indirectly, those were the seeds that were both planted, watered, and nurtured in my life.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. When you're speaking about growing up in the church environment and how it was a mixture of spirituality and also political awareness and action, and also social justice, awareness, and action. It reminds me much about my own upbringing in the African independent church movement. Very similar, very similar. And also just having extra aunts and uncles and people that even now, when I go back to Kenya, my mom is no longer there, but I reach out to them. I let them know that, I'm in town, and there's this particular lady called Mama Vera. And when I was little, she knew I was too curious, And in my mother tongue, when you say the words wacha wacha, it means just say it, And so she nicknamed me Wacha Wacha because I used to push people, just say it, I would ask even adults very awkward questions, and I would push them, just say it, you haven't said it, just say it, And so even last year when I was in Kenya, I met her, and the first thing she said, Wacha Wacha, and I just started laughing, because it's just amazing what this kind of aunts that your parents introduce you to become, in your life as an adult. And I just appreciate you sharing that with us. And now I just want to talk to our guests on YouTube. Thank you again. I would love for you to actually share the link to this live stream, or if you're watching it later, share it with your community. If you're getting value out of our conversation today. My hope is that the video you're watching today is a motivational video. It can help you, never doubt yourself. It can help you gain, some African wisdom. Because the idea is with African proverbs is that we continue preserving Wise African Proverbs. We continue preserving literally the words from our ancestors. So I just encourage you to make sure you're sharing it. Make sure you're leaving us with your comments so that we know that you're here. Yesterday I was speaking at a Black History Month event here in Seattle at Wanawari. And I was asked a question, and my answer was that, we all need to leave a stamp so that it's known that we were here on earth. And I feel like these proverbs are stamps that our ancestors left. So as you're watching this video, as you're listening to this conversation, what stamp are you going to be leaving behind today? So we will continue on with the conversation with my wonderful friend Mala. And Mala, you just shared with us about, growing up in the church community, in the Black church community. And I want you now to just take us into the work that you currently do, as a digital doula, as a master strategist, as a producer. There are so many incredible events that you produce here on Clubhouse. And I just want to, I want you to take a moment and share with everybody who is, who is watching and who is listening, this part of you, just for a moment. Take your time.
It's interesting that this is predicated on don't doubt yourself. Because for me, it's not the absence of doubt, but its presence to kind of bring to my awareness things where I may not feel as grounded or as aware or as well studied, or, not that it keeps me from anything, but leaning into it and finding my path is the very process that develops both the discipline, the muscle memory of what I can do, right? Because it is unknown sometimes what you have capacity to do. I had a life prior to 6 years ago that my mindset was so focused on holding both great challenge, from the loss of like you, my mother and grandmother, just different life challenges. I think up until a particular point, I thought that you do everything the right way and you are guaranteed a right result. And that sounds great in theory, but life happens. There are things that even for the best laid plans that can happen, and the timing can just seem like, where is everyone? Where is God? What am I doing? And so I have been the type of person that can come into an environment and see what's missing and create strategy, implement ideas, and help execute things, right? And so it didn't seem like a superpower at the time. It just was just like a level of awareness. And so being someone who was actually working in the field, producing events, dancing, physically, like everything was like actual execution of what I can show up and do. And about 6 years ago, I had something happen with my health that completely brought everything to a standstill, because I was very also of the mindset, if it's going to be done, I have to do it. Whatever it takes, I've got to do it. So, they talk about burning the candle at both ends or just different things. But in some ways, that was really like self-absorbed, because maybe sometimes what is happening with you is happening so other people around you can step up, so that you can learn how to ask for help, so that you can pull on this village. Why have these great villages if you think you're an army of one, right? So we not only have the army in the physical realm, we have an army of ancestors. We have an arm, like we literally are never alone. But this life can make you feel that way, and then just these different structures that we're navigating. But to bring it all together, a lot of the things that I'm learning to do in this audio only space came from a place of doubt. Because when you can't physically show up and do and execute, or know what your capacity is going to be, or guarantee, before it was like a stamp. If I say I'm gonna do something, it is done. There was nothing hindering it and nothing was going to stop it. But now I have to move as my body gives me the physical mobility, the mental stamina, the concentration, all of those things. And I felt lost, because we're human beings, but we so solely focus on what we do, this human doing, right? So we don't know how to rest. We don't know how to be still. We don't know how to recharge ourselves. We aren't necessarily even, this is a new space of like, self-love and self-care and all, but even self-care is more reactionary and after than leading in how we move, because there's this dogged sense of responsibility of what we must do. And so social media was just something, I had done my career path is just as broad as what I do now, right? So just kind of blooming where I'm planted. That's the through line. So whether I was planted I worked as an administrative assistant in my home church for many years, and I was able to, deal with facilitation of events. I mean, major events, major recording artists coming to town, HIV/AIDS initiatives led by Cookie Johnson and Magic Johnson. So I had these things happening, but also growing up in an environment where these things were happening, it felt normal. It didn't feel big. And so it allowed me to have a level of confidence in what I could do, in just understanding what resources we have and trying to help people meet their needs. And so in the interim of doing that, and I worked in the Mayor's Office of Reintegration Services for ex-offenders, so helping returning citizens reclaim their life and establish the skills to help them adapt and thrive, but again, the through line is always people, helping people, connecting people to resources. And now I just do that in the social space. But even taking some time back from that, audio only, except for today, I might be in my pajamas, right? But, we're on YouTube today, so you got to kind of like get yourself together. But just learning that with technology, there are so many tools that we can use that for whatever capacity we have, whatever gifts and talents, however we want to collaborate, whatever we want to share, we are able to come on Clubhouse. Once, Androids were able to come on, was much later in the iteration of Clubhouse. And so to look at all the things that I was able to do, Elijah is how we connected, Simon. And so, I remember that day we came into a room and you were talking about your film stuff. So I have a film life. I'm very involved in the Black film community through the Black Star Film Festival here in Philadelphia, who's going into their 11th year. I've been on that journey with them in different facets for over 11 years. What initially started as a firm, which is now Array. And that is the distribution company with Ava DuVernay, and being a part of a collective that helped anchor the distribution, kind of like guerrilla style marketing aspect of having people on the ground, connecting film and community. So I think that that's the thing, either just being recognized or falling into alignment with things that just gave me a natural path for my skills, but it's it's very broad, and it just takes on the shape that it takes on. And I'm just grateful for the journey and grateful for how it will continue to unfold so that I can continue to meet and amplify people like you, Simon.
Thank you so much. I'm just grateful that we connected, and I am also very privileged that we get to have this conversation here today for the Daily African Proverbs. If you are just joining us and you're watching this on YouTube, this is a motivational video, and our hope is that by the end of our conversation today, we help you to never doubt yourself. And today we are actually focusing on a proverb from Sudan. Every day on the Daily African Proverbs, we pick an African proverb that gives us wise, these are wise African proverbs with deep meanings. These are not new proverbs. If you go online, you'll find them, but you'll not find a place where these wise sayings and proverbs are being dissected the way we do, the way we do here in the Daily African Proverbs. And I really want to give a shout out to Stella. She stepped out of the room. I know that Women's History Month is next month, but truly a lot of the work I do with the Daily African Proverbs, with One Vibe Africa, with my book, the Rooted in Love, it would have never been possible if it were not for women. Even in my personal life, my sisters are so critical to a lot of things that I do, and Stella is currently very, very critical to the growth of the Daily African Proverbs on YouTube. She's based in Kenya, and she's helping do a lot of the behind the scene work. So it was just motivating to see her on Clubhouse. And as we continue on with the conversation, for those who are with us on Clubhouse, we are now about to turn off hand raising. So if you want to join us on stage and share your perspectives, this is really a good time for you to do that, because Mala is going to grab a pen and paper and take some notes as we listen to what you all have to say, and then Mala is going to come back and share what she heard you say, and then she'll close out and also share with you how you can support the work that she's doing, and also how you can stay in touch with her. So now I want to go straight away to Makuba, who is a wonderful contributor to this space, and also a leader in the continent and in the African diaspora. Makuba, just share with us where you're joining us from, and also what today's proverb from Sudan means to you. Just one more time, the proverb says, if a dog bites you and you don't bite it back, it will say you have no teeth. Makuba, the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much, Simon. Good morning, everyone. I so love when I come to the Daily African Proverbs. It makes me go deeper into our ancestral connection. And when I see this proverb, if a dog bites you and you don't bite back, it will say you have no teeth. I go back to the pre-colonial times of our hunters. Biting in the African culture symbolizes adversity. The hunters would be able to go and bring animals for their wives to cook. And when an animal would attack them, they would be respected in the community for survival. Bites in life come from nowhere as curveballs, and they're irrespective of race or gender. And sometimes it's the way you handle those bites that come to you in adversity. Sometimes you will respond because we live in a world whereby we know, as Chinwe Achebe says, when trouble comes and knocks on your door and you say you have no room for him, he tells you not to worry, for he has brought his own stool. When a mother is breastfeeding a child in Cameroon, sometimes I remember, and the child is teething and he bites you, and your grandmothers would tell me that you have to tell him to stop. Because if you don't tell him to stop, you need to bite back for him to feel what you're feeling. And amazing, although in the United States that may sound very absurd, in the African culture it represented power and wisdom, because woe and betide, the child would stop biting the breast of the mother. So I like to encourage everyone today to understand that life is always moving in the strongest direction of your thoughts. And we need to win the war in our mind, because the bites will come whether you are prepared for it or not. This is Makuba, and I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Wow, Makuba, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear what Mala has to say about your amazing contribution. We will continue moving on so that we listen to other speakers who are here with us today. We are now going to go to Flamingo. Flamingo, how are you? Share with us where you are physically. We just want to draw kind of a geographical visual for those who are not, with you where you are physically, and those who will be listening. We want people to just have an idea of how diverse and how global our audience is, and then share with us what your thoughts are in regards to today's proverb from Sudan.
Good morning, everybody. Peace and blessings. I'm actually 6 miles from Washington, D.C. I'm in Maryland. And thank you for inviting me to the stage, Simon. I love this room. And I love what Makuba said. So wise. Thank you. As far as this proverb, your guest, I loved what she said earlier. She said, should we even value what a dog thinks about us? That was profound. And it made me think about one of my favorite books, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he talks about between a stimulus and a response, he says there's a space. And that space to choose our response is the growth and freedom. So, does it even matter for us to bite back a dog? You know, it doesn't, because we don't value the opinion of a dog, and we have the power to choose our response. That's what came to mind. But thank you again for inviting me to stage, and I'm done speaking.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Flamingo. I just love what you had to say. You have a choice whether you want to respond, and also what Mala said earlier in regards to, whether it's worth responding to a dog's bite, or whether there is value in the dog's bite. There's just a lot to think about right there. For those who are just joining us, this is the Daily African Proverbs being recorded for the African Father in America podcast. And we do this so that we share wise African proverbs. This is a motivational video, and our hope is that by the end of this, you live with some wise sayings and proverbs, and also you live with wisdom that can ground you, wisdom from our ancestors that can help you, particularly so that you never doubt yourself. So thank you for being here. And my special guest is Mala Campbell Harris, who is an incredible digital doula, a master strategist, and a producer. And today she shared with us a lot earlier, but currently she's taking notes as we listen to some of our guests who are on stage on Clubhouse. So if you're on YouTube, please make sure that you push the thumbs up button so that when we are live tomorrow and the days to come, you are notified by YouTube. And if you're on Clubhouse, I truly encourage you to ping in 1 or 2 people to join us to today's conversation. Also, feel free to clip this conversation and share it on Twitter. Don't forget to use the hashtag Daily African Proverbs so that later on I can go in and engage with you. And now I want to go to my brother Richmo. Richmo, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts on today's proverb from Sudan?
Thank you, Simon, and to Ms. Marler Harris for the privilege to be on this stage to share and also, learn I will say it's a blessing to anyone who visits Kenya. It's like you're almost kissing the gates of heaven. So to anyone who wants to travel, please make a point of touching base in Kenya if you can. It's a lovely place to be. And I'm from Kenya, East Africa. Congratulations also, Simon, for all the work you do, and also to the achievements, and if it's in book writing and the storytelling, it's always an honor. The topic today, is um, so amazing to me and significant, because in a sense you think of what the philosophy of war, and there used to be this understanding that war doesn't make men great. War doesn't make a person great. Neither does it make a person evil, but rather war reveals great men. The same as in the same is said also in the evil space, that it will reveal the evil in people. And so you think of that scenario of the dog typifying events or circumstances, that they end up revealing the underlying layers of a person. And so we don't strive to necessarily be great, but rather there are moments where the greatness will be revealed. We were in a session where someone asked, a group of West Africans were in a discussion, and in this discussion, a few partners in East Africa had attended. It was a crypto session, and the West Africans were saying, "Hey, in East Africa, we saw the birth of this mobile technology in terms of fintech. Where have you reached? What's the progression? You guys by now should probably be at the top of the market in terms of emerging technologies." And the West Africans were saying, "We are not seeing that yet." And so the East Africans were asking, "What's happening amongst themselves?" And the understanding that was brought out of it is that you need to be hungry enough, and that the challenges that faced these brothers in the west part of the continent allowed a level of thirst to come out in them, that they will rise above those circumstances, the bites, so to say. And so, yes, and I love the way it says, if. So it's not that we are expecting to be bitten, but stay guarded that if, not when it happens, but if in case you get to the place where there's so much turmoil and so much challenges and hardships, will it cause you to dig deep? And now your response actually reveals the true nature, that if this bite happens, we can respond to it in a different way. We don't necessarily have to bite back, but the response could far outweigh the bite itself, and in a sense silence it. It's like kind of a reverse psychology of a sense. And so I'm honored to be here. Humility, in a sense, that could also be a retaliation, in a sense, that humility then is revealed when that bite, if that bite is to happen. So I'm honored to be in this room, and also learn from everybody else, reach more. And I hope that these words don't fall to the ground, and that even in my life, bites that might come my way reveal the true nature, and probably time will be the common denominator that lets generations know that response was in order. Rich more, and I'm speaking.
Thank you so much, Richmo, for your contribution, for sharing wise words with us today. For those who are just joining us, thank you for being here with us. If you're on Clubhouse, I encourage you to ping 3 to 5 people into the room. If you're on YouTube, please share your comments. I see that there's a very, very interesting and wonderful conversation going on there. I see that Fred is with us there. Chioma is there with us as well. And I also see Ravon is there with us. Thank you all so much. It means a lot. Today we are breaking records on YouTube, and that's something I've been praying and hoping for, that we can increase the viewers of the Daily African Proverbs on YouTube particularly. And for those who don't know, our conversation today is centered around the idea of never doubt yourself, never doubt yourself. And if you will be watching this video later on, we hope that it motivates you so that you never doubt yourself, but also so that you ground yourself in wise African proverbs and in wise sayings and proverbs that our ancestors left behind as stamps for us to understand what the future looks like. So now we are going to go to an elder that embodies, all of these things that we are talking about. Zizi, share with us where you are and your perspective on today's proverb.
Well, it's a very interesting, proverb, and you just wonder whether it's not paying attention to people who do, bad things and just moving on without having to respond in a similar way, to ignore or to forgive and let go. Because if a dog bites you and you don't bite, we don't care what the dog says or what the other person who hurt us says. The important thing is ourselves. Do we pay attention to people who are not civil enough to treat us the way we like to be treated, or we let go and ignore them? Because sometimes you can't really teach them any lesson. People will say about you many bad things if they don't like what you're doing or what you say. So I think, first of all, we don't pay attention to what they say. Second of all, ignore them, and then it will, teach them a better lesson than if you try to correct them or to teach them a good lesson or to show them how to behave. Ignoring such people is better, and not responding, because what they say is irrelevant anyway. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's definitely, words of the wise, Zizi is an elder who, as in my language or in my tribe, we say that she has eaten a lot of salt. She has much more experiences than most of us who are watching or listening to today's conversation. So thank you so much, Zizi, for your contribution. Now we want to go to Sensors, who is another amazing leader who is helping us with Africa Day Club and also Africa Day events last year. She was very instrumental in making it happen. Sensors, where are you joining us from, and what are your thoughts on today's proverb from Sudan? I know that you're from the original Sudan, and now you're South Sudanese, and I just want you to take your time, share with us your perspectives on today's proverb. I appreciate you. I am sure Sensors is probably a little farther away from her phone. So when she's ready, she's going to join us and share her perspectives. For now, we are going to continue on to Brother. Brother, how are you? And what is your thought about today's proverb from Sudan? The proverb again says, if a dog bites you and you don't bite it back, it will say you have no teeth. Share with us your thoughts, please.
Peace and blessings, family. And welcome back, Simon. I hope you enjoyed your little vacation last weekend, brother. And when I look at this right here, it makes me think of two sayings that the elders used to say is, one of them is, you don't have to do evil for evil. And oftentimes when you don't do evil for evil, you let them slide on the act of kindness, your kindness can easily be taken as weakness, right? When in actuality, you have the capacity to retaliate or act and don't, that actually is the true strength, not allowing yourself to be controlled by emotions or allowing what someone else does to you dictate how you move forward. And I'll park my plane right there. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love to you. And I did enjoy my little vacation last week. I needed it. I just want to give a quick shout out to my brother Tutaleni, who is in the audience, and I do see a lot of amazing contributors to the Daily African Proverbs, from the Goddess to M. Dayton to Bibi, Ejlal and Fred, Thandi Sizwe. All of you are valued, and I appreciate your time today. Remember that we turn off hand raising for the Daily African Proverbs at 6:30. So tomorrow join us a little early so that we can bring you up on stage so that you can also share your perspectives. But you can still support. You can still go on my Instagram account and leave your comment on what this proverb means to you. You can join us on YouTube. We are live and direct there with Mala Campbell Harris, who is our guest today, and you can leave your thoughts there as well. Now we want to move on to Chef. Chef, how are you? And when you think about this proverb from Sudan, if a dog bites you and you don't bite it back, it will say you have no tooth. What comes to your mind?
Greetings, greetings. This is Chef Jillian, and I am in Charlotte, North Carolina, joining this room for the first time. And what a blessing! Thank you for the invite, Simon. When I hear this proverb, as soon as I saw it, if a dog bites you and you don't bite it back, it will say you have no teeth. And the first word that came to my mind was fight. And remembering it, I mean, this is like for my own medication, right? My own medicine on this morning is remembering to fight. And it doesn't always have to be a physical fight. It is not always talking about hand-to-hand combat, right? So I'm thinking about fighting and the way that you fight, the way that this dog right here is coming to try to take something from you. If a dog bites you and you don't bite it back, if you don't stand up for yourself, if you don't use your voice, if you don't use your power, if you don't fight with your mind, with your soul, with your everything, it will say you have no teeth. And I thought about Zora Neale Hurston's quote. It was the first thing that came to me. And it was something like, if they, oh my goodness, if they, I'm drawing a blank. It's something like, it's on the lines of this. And it was even that more profound. But it was something like, if they kill you and you say you have no, they'll say you enjoyed it. Oh my goodness. I'm messing up. Oh, if you're
I
silent
think
about
what
your
you're
pain,
speaking
they
of,
will kill you and say that you enjoyed it. If you're silent about your pain, they will kill you and say that you enjoyed it. And let's say she got this from that, right? Which is even more profound because our ancestors are speaking through us through all times and all generations. And we know that time is relevant. But I just wanted to share that with that for this quote for this is reminding me to fight and reminding me to never give up in this way and to pay attention to what people are doing to you. I know someone said about the dog and about people who are not civilized enough to treat us being civilized, and we shouldn't care what the dog thinks. That's true, we should not, but we should pay attention and we should not absorb what it is, right? And being careful and being mindful to not take on the links of the dog's chains, right? To not take those things, and now we start to wear those things, right? And we start to fall into different boxes, whatever boxes people put you in, whomever you are and whatever it is, the things that you do. Sometimes when you take people's chains and you add them to yours, you become those things. And so for me, it was like that, right? So like if I keep taking those chains, if I keep taking them, they'll keep giving them to me and they'll keep saying, oh, she likes this or she likes that, right? So reminding yourself, if you don't bite back, it'll say that you have no teeth. They'll kill you and say that you enjoyed it. So I just encourage you guys to fight with your man, to fight with your power, to fight with everything that's inside of you on this day, okay? And so that's me. I'm Chef Jillian, and I appreciate this moment in time and space. Thank y'all.
Oh, thank you so much, Chef. Your presence and your words of wisdom is very much appreciated. And now we are going to go to Samara. And in a moment, you're going to hear from Mala, who is going to just give you a summary of some of the nuggets of wisdom that you've all been sharing with us. And then we'll head towards the end of our conversation in just a moment. We still have about 9 minutes or so, so I encourage you to still ping in 3 to 5 people if you're on Clubhouse. But really, if you already follow the African Father in America Club, please nominate other people to join the club. 3 to 5 people today would be deeply appreciated. So now we'll come to you, Samara. How are you? Where are you joining us from? And what does this proverb from Sudan mean to you?
Hello, Simon. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody in the room. I am here in London, United Kingdom, So the proverb, if a dog bites you and you don't bite back, it will say you have no teeth. I sort of thought about it in another way. A lot of us here are from tribal Africa, and when wars or disagreements happen, it's a tit for tat. So somebody will start something, and then it will escalate into either an all-out war or a skirmish, and it will go back and forth in the generations. So in my the way I thought about it is if a dog bites you and you don't bite back, and it will say you have no teeth, is to not go tit for tat. If the dog does bite you and say you have no teeth, don't say anything. Don't obviously defend yourself, but don't go back and forth. Otherwise, it creates this going back and forth and things happening in that way. I'm Samara and I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samara. I just love your perspectives, and I truly appreciate you for your continued support. I do want to let you all know that my last-born daughter, who is called Kenya, is right under my feet. For some reason, she wakes up early in the morning, and she just wants to sleep next to my feet, so I can't move. I love moving around when I'm live streaming, but right now, I can literally feel her ears on top of my leg, Anyway, so, it's just amazing what these proverbs do to children too, because whenever I'm done with these recordings, the first stop is always the dining room where I prepare breakfast for them. And the first thing they ask me is, what was the proverb for today? And one of them already had it, because where I record from is in the basement, but right above is the dining room. So there's a vent, and they can always hear what the conversation is. So it's always just funny. I have no secrets anymore. So, now I want to bring to you my amazing friend and our special guest, Mala Campbell Harris. Mala shared with us earlier on her, a story from her childhood that motivates her as a leader today. She also shared with us, a lot about the work she's doing in production, in film, and also, even a lot more. So if you missed that part of the conversation, I encourage you to go back and listen to this conversation on any of the podcasting platforms that you enjoy listening from, or on YouTube later on today. But now, Mala, the floor is yours. Share with us what you heard, and then after that, I would love for you to share with us how people can stay connected with you and how people can support the amazing work that you do.
Okay, so we heard from Makuba, who it gave me chills, because again, my perspective as a daughter of the diaspora, but placed not only in the United States, but in the northeastern portion, you know what I mean? And so location and what your life is has a lot to do with how you see the world, or how the world was framed around you. So to get the cultural context of hunters and the bite being a symbol of adversity, and the idea that if I return with a bite, I survived, right? So like it's not just the presence of the bite, and just that context that she placed, that a bite is a symbolism, and it's a symbolism of respect, and it speaks to your survival. And so, of course, when I think about tribal markings and initiation and rites of passage, the ways in which scarring and things that might denote adversity or struggle being badges of honor. And so, it made me kind of sit with, do I still feel the same way with that context? And I do, but that's the beautiful part, that these proverbs are like an onion, that they're inexhaustible, that you can go deep, you can go wide, and I so appreciated that perspective. We had our next one from Flamingo, and what stood out for me, that space of growth part, that there's the situation, the bite, and however you choose to handle it on the end, in the middle, that space and taking that space to determine how you want to respond. And then Rich Mo, I love that beautiful invitation to Kenya, because I want to kiss. I want to go to the place that kisses the gates of heaven. Right? That just seems so beautiful. But what I wrote in big letters from all that Rich Mo shared was staying grounded, and the idea of playing reverse psychology, and that humility is not weakness, that we can absolutely use it as a strength, and knowing when to bite, when to retreat, when to hold our hand, when to hold our bite, was really interesting. And our elder Zizi spoke about what not to pay attention to, what to ignore, and what's irrelevant. So if you come to the proverb from that perspective, similar, like aligned to what I thought, if I don't place any value on the dog itself, I can choose to pay it no attention. I can ignore it and deem its thought about my reaction as irrelevant. And then brother spoke about, one, yes, big up on you taking vacation and taking time, because I think so much of this work, there's this need to be consistent, but there's also a need to be all the other hats that we wear as father, as brother, as all of those things, but also making sure that you're healthy and well. And so, the fact that you have done this daily, with very little interruption, just, much props and respect to you, Simon. But I loved that brother brought up, kind of like colloquialisms that I grew up with, repaying evil for evil, and taking kindness as weakness. But he didn't say this, but it took me to the place of like letting sleeping dogs lie. And the idea, though, it tied back to Rich Mo for me, because now my brain is going like a total different direction. That in the art of war, I get to determine my tools. And so if I let the dog lead where my thoughts or my perspective goes in terms of how I want to respond, I can respond a different way, but it may benefit me for the dog to think I have no teeth. Because the next time you try me different, but you will not be prepared for me. So that made me kind of go down that line. And then we had the beautiful chef out of North Carolina, and her evoking our beloved ancestors, Zora Neale Hurston, and the idea that she really kind of meditated on fight, and that it's not just hand-to-hand combat, but how we show up for ourselves, to make sure that we're speaking the things that need to be said, doing the things. She spoke about spirituality, that there's just so many ways that we can show up prepared for the fight or prepared for battle, and to not underestimate or kind of sleep on your adversaries, and to really, count the cost, to really take it all in and to pay attention, is what I stepped away from her. And our last sister out of London, I just loved all that she shared, and my notes are a little scribbled, but it really kind of just spoke to the journey. And I thought that she was like a beautiful, bow on the end. And I think that, I love this room. I love the idea that the wisdom of our ancestors continues to get cultivated, that we are kind of reclaiming, especially those of us that are stateside. And depending on the communities that you're tied to, where are you getting these reminders for how you kind of, set your tone for your day, your life, and the values of your family. And I think it's so important. So no matter where this proverb met you, and where you may now be for being in communication from a place of listening and understanding, which is like the beautiful kind of foundation of this room, that we all are changed for coming in communication and in contact with each other. And I value that so much. So, as I think about, like the role of doubt, the role, how to be motivated and encouraged in a world with so much going on, it's really taking the time to be centered and grounded. Whatever your practice, whatever your people, whatever your ritual, getting back to those fundamentals and digging deep, because I think that come what may, the people that are grounded and rooted and connected will be those that survive. And being able to kind of have a toolkit that we can go to with these proverbs, with these technologies that allowed our people to exist over time, because we've always been here, will be beautiful. And so, I thought about when I was talking about what I do, it's a lot because I realized I'm not I'm not the forward facing part. In my life and in the work that I do, I am a behind the scenes person, but I'm a behind the scenes person that if need be can take a mic and kind of like keep an event going. So like, I can host and things like that. But I really am someone in the background invested in the success of a thing. So when I thought about creating, or even where the term pronoun creative strategies comes from, pro being like professional, someone someone that people look to in their field, but a professional promoter of nouns, people, places, and things. So whether it's a dope event, whether it's a book, because we want Simon to be a New York Times bestseller. So we are in pre-sale time. So I hope that you will go to this brother's Instagram and, you can, for pre-sale, there's something for every price point, whether you get the audio or you get the hard copy book, the cover and everything is beautiful. But we should absolutely invest in what we want to see more of. So sure, in the social media space, there's a whole section of what I don't like. But I have found for me in my life, both professionally and personally, that if I focus on what I want to see more of and I invest, that's never going to be a bad investment. And I just want to see us shine. I want to see us win. And there's so much. That's also the challenge. There's just an inexhaustible well of talent and brilliance when it comes to us, right? And so I just may be in a corner of the world where I don't know Simon is in Seattle doing all of these things. And so what's the responsibility, right? You go to a restaurant, you love the food. Sure, you might want to keep it private to yourself so you can always get a table. But if you keep it to yourself, you may turn the corner and that store is gone because we haven't invested in it. So, those would be my parting words of, investing in what you want to see more of, looking to your left and right. You don't always have to kind of mentor up and down. It doesn't have to be this vertical thing, but horizontally, and really building circles, building community where you go, because you never know. I mean, through Simon, I was a part of the program here on Clubhouse as we honored Archbishop, Desmond Tutu. But who would think that this little girl who grew up in Philadelphia would have been in the same room as Desmond Tutu? And when I talked about my story early on, coming from the specific church of Bright Hope Baptist Church, and that it was both this parallel of both spirituality and social politics, our pastor, the late Reverend Dr. William H. Gray III, was also in politics, and he was a congressman. And he was very big in the initiatives around apartheid. And so when Archbishop was coming stateside to have conversations with different communities and speak with students that were protesting apartheid, he found his way to this little church in North Philadelphia. And who knew decades later, at the end of his life, I would be asked to participate and amplify a particular program. So, our journeys are so unique. And as awesome as it is to do the things forward facing in front of the camera, there's so much value in the margins and, in the wings, because your time is going to come. And whether that's a big stage or even just your personal stage of your family, you have the power to impact the world with your gifts and talents. So I just hope that we would focus inward to all the things that we want to amplify outward, and not believe that we have to be on anyone's particular time schedule to do so.
Thank you so much, Mala. To everyone who has been with us the entire 1 hour, today we shared with you Wise African Proverbs. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is a motivational video, and our hope is that these wise sayings and proverbs, especially today's proverb from Sudan, that says, if a dog bites you and you don't bite it back, it will say you have no teeth. We hope that it helps you to never doubt yourself. But Mala, you are one of the few people that every time I share with you that the Daily African Proverbs is happening, you always retweet it, you always reshare it, you always help. And it took me a long time to actually get you to agree to do this interview with me, even compared to popular guests that I really want to interview. And now I understand why. I understand how you're passionate about supporting from behind the scene, but really when you step up, you just feel the conversation with a lot of gems. And I just value you, and I just hope I can host you again. In fact, someone was suggesting that you need to host me and interview me for the book. I actually want us to figure out how to do that in person, maybe at the church that you're talking about. So let's talk. Let's keep talking, and let's keep doing the wonderful things that made us connect. But before we wrap up, I do want to ask you to share with us how we can support you, and how we can stay connected with you.
Supporting me also is supporting other organizations. Just some that are top of mind are absolutely, if you're on Clubhouse, in my bio, but whether it be Array, Black Star Film Festival. I am a passionate girl trekker. So many of my girl trek sisters are supporting both in Clubhouse and on YouTube. Thank you. It's one of the largest public health organizations for Black women. We just lace up our sneakers for 30 minutes a day and walk for our wellness and reclaiming our space in our communities. There's the Uniquely You Girls Summit, which is a Philly-based, now national organization that is all about cultivating our beautiful young ladies between the ages of 11 and 18 and reminding them that they are beautiful, brilliant, and brave. And, we've gone into the visual, so many of these organizations have gone into the virtual space. And, I do fun things like, run chats for DJs. And so, DJ Steve Vassar and the community on Twitch on Fridays, Friday Vibes. But for me on social media, the challenge is I do not do social media in the way that they want me to. So I follow everything because how else will I know? But then I can't follow back because I don't have, I'm top heavy. But you can follow me at Just Marla on most social media, on almost all social media platforms. And if I don't follow back, it's not because I don't choose to, because I would love to, but I'm just having some capacity challenges and I don't want to unfollow persons to follow back. But I can absolutely follow everyone here on Clubhouse thus far. And also, if there are things that you're doing that I can help or be of assistance or help amplify, I can absolutely do that. I think that we take lightly our social currency, right? And so as someone who has volunteered my way into a lot of the opportunities that I've had, and it started from a place of service and monetization came later, I think of social media in the same way that, our time and our social currency, it doesn't cost us financially. But there are times like this book that we want to get behind with Brother Simon. And so we all have something that we can give to help amplify others and ourselves. And so, being very mindful of these platforms and not taking them lightly, is something that is important too. So.
Oh, thank you, Marla. Thank you. I truly appreciate that. And I hope everyone who is listening and watching is going to be able to stay connected with Marla. And really just briefly about the book Rooted in Love, which is, you can access it through the link tree on my Instagram and Twitter. It took me a little over 6 years to make this book happen. It was not easy. And I struggled to pull it together financially. And also I struggled to find the right graphic designer who could bring the vision, because it's a photo book as well. It's a photo book that is laced with an essay and stories from other people that I have worked with over the years. So it wasn't easy, but the feedback I'm getting is really incredible. In fact, the ebook is amongst the top Amazon releases and currently amongst the top Amazon sellers. And we want to keep it there until the actual book is out on March 7th. And I can't do it on my own. I feel that Clubhouse is a great platform. It's on Kindle. I see Fred is asking on YouTube. It's on Kindle, and it's yesterday it was actually the number one in like 3 different categories. So we can definitely push it, keep it there, and by the time March 7th comes, hopefully the actual book also becomes #1 on Amazon, and hopefully New York bestseller by the grace of God. So again, Mala, thank you, and to everybody else, thank you for watching this motivational video. Thank you for being a part of this village. If you are on Clubhouse, the hope is that we continue preserving wise African proverbs, we continue sharing wise sayings and proverbs, and just building this village one proverb at a time. So with that, we are ending our session today. Thank you again, Mala. I'm grateful.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington.